Let's go. Is your bracket busted when Kentucky's about to get upset? So obviously March Madness is going on probably in the background of your screen, or unless you're a diehard PHLer, you got it on the phone, you got it on the TV, and you're just hanging out, enjoying a glorious Thursday night live stream. And look, obviously, one of the major topics, I'm getting a lot of questions about the LSU defensive backfield. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. Obviously, the poll question tonight, we're actually going to talk about two different things. The first, what position will Sage Ryan actually end up playing during the spring? And the second will be, does an SEC team actually get to the Final Four? I actually faded Kentucky and took St. Peter's because one thing I've always noticed about NCAA teams, especially in March Madness, I always fade away from teams whose best player is a post player. And Kentucky's best player is the Oscar T. I can't say his last name, or I don't know how to say it. And I just fade those teams, right? Like Kofi Cockburn last year, still a weird name, for Illinois burned me. Right? You want the best player on the team that wins it all to be a guard. That's why I think teams like Baylor and all those teams are able to make runs. We say hi to Aaron. We say hi to Chris. Jared sent me a photo of crawfish, and all I've been wanting is crawfish. That's it. Boom, Van right off the top. There you go. Look at you, Van, hanging out early, baby, enjoying this March Madness. I really hope Kentucky loses. I really do. I really do. And look, the 12th seeded Maroon Aggies got in the tournament and won after all, right? Look, should Texas A&M have gotten into the tournament over Michigan? Yeah, they should have. Yeah, they should have. But it doesn't make me feel any less sorry for them. Let's go. So obviously a lot to get to as far as LSU football is concerned as we inch closer to next Thursday's start of spring. 7 days from now, we will get LSU football, albeit in the spring format, right? So we go to Chris. Seen a post of Cardell Thomas working out in LSU gear saying he's got the number one spot back. Are you kidding me? I remember, so when Van and I were at dinner a few months ago in LA, we had a discussion. It was brief about Cardell Thomas because it's funny, right? You always wonder, well, is Cardell Thomas actually going to be the guy? You get questions like that all the time. So, the first thing, Chris, I would say about that is, look, I cannot, with a clear conscience, call Cardell a bust because he ended up actually starting at the end of the season. And at the same time, you're a little bit more sympathetic towards bust if they had a severe injury early in their careers. And that's what Cardell Thomas had. So, first, right off the jump, I don't think Cardell Thomas is a bust. I do think he is a unicorn. And what I mean by that is there has never been, and I'm not sure if there ever will be, another offensive lineman with the hype that he had. I don't think we'll ever see an offensive lineman that actually has the hype and the numbers that this young man was able to generate. Millions upon millions of views. And Van works in the media industry. A lot of you watch YouTube. I cannot say this enough. There are so many YouTubers out there that make 7-figure salaries, and they have never had a video hit 1 million views. It is really hard. I've already come to the conclusion that I will probably on this channel never generate a video that has 1 million views unless, of course, I get Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and we all take shots together. I guess I would get $1 million. I don't know why I thought of that. but that would be pretty awesome if that actually happened. And guys, if Jamar or Joe's actually watching this, let's do it. Shots on me. For me, I just find it so crazy to me that Cardell went as viral as he did. Let's go to Van here. We lost down on the tight end from Notre Dame. What's going to happen at tight end? So it's complicated, right? So I did a video on Darnell Washington on Monday, and a few things arose from that video. The first is that we're actually past the 2021 deadline for an SEC player to transfer to another SEC school and be immediately eligible. But at the same time, I think it's different if you've graduated. And of course, Darnell Washington has been at Georgia for going into his third season. So he could already have his coursework done. And there's always different ways you can make exceptions for whether or not they can play or not. The second thing here, and Van, this is such a great question, as far as Darnell Washington is concerned, is right after I posted the video, about 18 hours after the fact, Darnell Washington got hurt. So there's two bad sides to that. The first is that Georgia's starting tight end, Brock Bowers, is also hurt and out for the spring. Don't ever say what you won't do. I can't believe what you just said. You're the illest at this. Don't limit yourself. Van, you do get on me about this, right? It's not that I don't believe in myself. It's just, I'm kind of a rationalist. I also have I've actually had two different videos hit 1 million subscribers, 1 million views. And ironically, I've never told Van this, right? And I've never told you guys this. I've had two different videos hit over 1 million views. And one of them involved Kobe Bryant. I'll tell that story some other time. It was probably the coolest moment of my career. I didn't get to meet Kobe, though, which is kind of sad. I know everyone has their own Kobe story, which is kind of crazy. Everybody has a very unique Kobe Bryant story. I'll share it one day on this channel. But yeah, I'm gonna do something different here. Okay, I'm gonna speak it into existence that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on this channel will do shots. And Jeremy Hill will be there too. I don't know why Jay Hill would be there, but why not? So, yeah, I'm really excited about the future of the channel. And I will say on Tuesday, there will be, I'm just going to say it, there will be a pretty big announcement about the channel on Tuesday night. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Be on the lookout for our normal Tuesday night live stream. Once again, we'll be live again on Saturday night like we normally do. But on Tuesday night, there will be a pretty big announcement, and it's really big for the channel. And I think you guys are really going to get excited about it. And I'm not just fronting about it. It's something really freaking cool. Something that's not happened to me in my career up to this point. So I'm actually glad you said that, Van. We say hi to Esteban. Esteban, there you go. There's Mick 63315. Esteban, where have you been? Mo Funky is in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm so freaking happy Kentucky's about to lose. I don't know what the score is. I would be very excited to see Kentucky go down. So you guys keep me up to date. As always, I don't like to watch something in the background early in the stream. I want to keep focused on you. You guys keep me up to date. Chris says he sent me something via the DMs. You sent me the Cardell post. Oh, look at that. I see you, Cardell. I see you working. I think this is actually I think Jamar Chase used to work out here as well. That's cool stuff, man. Thank you, Chris. You can always send me some cool stuff. Now, obviously, it's kind of a weird time because we're just all kind of waiting for the spring football to start. We're waiting on Thursday, right? And look, I understand it. I also know a lot of you are diehard New Orleans Saints fans, and there is a really big story looming out there about the Saints. I'll talk about it. I've gotten a lot of DMs about it if we're actually going to touch on it tonight. But obviously, we're going to keep it on LSU football to start this in right now. Oh, it's in overtime. Cool stuff. So, the first thing I'll say, going back to Van's comment about the tight end, the bottom line here is it's going to be very hard to get a tight end out there that you feel is going to be a difference maker. And what I mean by that is, as many of you know, I am a huge Jack Bech believer, right? He was I think I had him as my number 2 player in the recruiting class, period. Coming out. I was one of those believers. And there was a lot of us out there. But there was a lot of things a lot of boxes that Jack Bech just cleared for me. Man-to-man coverage beater, big time performance in the biggest moment type of player. Physically built and ready to play at game speed at the next level. All those things just kind of just jump out about Jack Bech. And we saw it. You saw it during the year, right? So the first thing about Jack is you have to ask yourself this question. Would you prefer just a normal big body tight end be on the field instead of Jack Bech playing a hybrid tight end and putting Malik, BTJ, and Kayshawn on the field, or Jure, BTJ, and Kayshawn on the field at the same time? Look, that's just the bottom line. You want your best players to be on the field as often as you possibly can. I am a very strong believer about that. And look, there's actually a big contingent of the coaching community that is actually discussing this on Twitter. A lot of it is at the lower levels, like the high school and the middle school level, but even college coaches have started to chime in on this, right? Do we bend our offense to the personnel, or do we stick true to who we are, right? And that's going to be a big philosophical question that Brian Kelly himself is going to have to answer. This is something that Mike Denbrock can't answer because he is not the head coach of the team. This is something, even if Ed Orgeron was the coach and he's a defensive guy, ultimately personnel decisions have to be made by the coach, the head coach, right? And historically, Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly have been a very tight end oriented offense, right? And now they're in a situation where the opposite is true. They have an abundance of wide receivers and a not so deep group of tight ends. You guys know how I felt about Cole Taylor for quite some time now. I like Cole a lot personally. Hopefully he takes that next step under Brian Kelly's tutelage, but it's not something that you feel gung-ho about him being the guy next year. And it goes back to this. I would prefer Jack Bech just be the tight end at this point, right? Now, I really like the kid out of Notre Dame. That's who Van asked about, George Takix. He's a good player, and he played a lot of snaps last year, and he was behind one of the top 3 tight ends in the entire sport. And tight end is a position, unlike receiver, where it's not that often that 2 are on the field at one time. Notre Dame would run some 12 personnel, would be mostly 11 though. And Takix was a really good player. And would he have fit in well with us? Yeah, he definitely would have. But the bottom line is, if Jack Bech takes a next step as that hybrid tight end, you can get vertical with your tight end, which is a big, big, big time difference maker. Also, and look, I'm not just I've never met Jack Bech. I don't know if he's ever even watched the channel. I just truly believe in that kid's talent. I really do. Man coverage beater. Window maker is what I like to call receivers that just know how to get open, right? Go watch his tape. It is ridiculous how good he is at just getting open. We talked about this play, in the last live stream, the Texas A&M 4th and 14 play that got that drive going, eventually led us to winning the game and eventually led us to playing the most iconic bowl game in LSU history. We can all agree that the Texas Bowl will go down in history. I'm kidding. It's not even our best Texas Bowl, but it is kind of the most unique bowl we've ever played, considering the circumstances. Still, I'm a true believer in Jack Bech. I know some people will say, well, look, he's hit his limit. There's not, there's no more room for growth. He he's not going to get any better. I disagree. I actually do think he can hit another level. Now, will that be like a Jarvis Landry level player? I think that's a perfect comp for him. I hope so. I actually do believe it, and I think he could actually be better. I do, but we'll see. We'll see. So, Van, as far as the tight end position is concerned, I'm still very comfortable with putting Jack out there. I do. I believe Kelly and the staff are happy with what they have. They have a plan for who they want to play a tight end, whether it be someone switching a tight end or one of the tight ends we have. And look, this is part of the reason why I don't think Landon Jackson should have transferred. I think he should have looked into playing tight end. I don't think he's a special defensive end, but he did some really good things at tight end. I don't know why LSU never even tried that last year. So many of these kids play both ways. Just put them on the opposite side of the ball and see what the freak's going to happen with them, But what do I know? I don't know anything about football. Let's see. Danny! There you go, Esteban. Danny Girl is here, so Mick doesn't have to cry himself to sleep at night. Mick is always asking, when Danny's not in here, what are we going to do? Also, some good news. Danny was asking about a reload on shirts. We are out of some sizes, but if you do want to buy your PHL shirt, I'll go ahead and take your order if we don't have your size in. They are currently being printed right now. As many of you know, the supply chain shortages and all that good stuff going on in the world right now. There was an ink shortage actually with my distributor. So also, every time I say the word distributor, it's kind of like, I don't know, it just has kind of like my distributor. I feel like Walter Whitey a little bit, right? I feel breaky batty. I don't know why we got to do the E thing, but still, it's like my distributor. It's got the good stuff. That I would actually be the other way around. Still, let's see here. I get to meet Skipper next weekend. I'm really excited about that. Skipper, we got to I just got the itinerary for the wedding I'm going to be in next weekend. So we got to schedule something. I know you're flexible, and I know we can't hang out for that much. But I need to see Skipper. I do. Look at that. I'm wearing my PHL shirt right the F now. I look good, and I think it's all because of the shirt. There you go, Urban Sombrero. I love it. Need to get the wifey a shirt. That's the next step. Aaron, you guys know Aaron's one of the top PHLers because he always jumps in and says, let's go. Come on, Kentucky. Someone give me a score. I want Kentucky to lose so bad. St. Peter's needs this. I don't even know where St. Peter's is located, but we need them to win. Oh, look at this. Okay, so I will have to say this. Skipper gave Aaron an exclamation point, but Danny, you see how much an exclamation point changes things? Skipper's like, hey, Aaron. And Danny, hey, Aaron. There you go. I see you, Mick. Exclamation point. Aaron, what's up, buddy? What's up, Aaron and the PHL fam? What's up, Aaron? Hello, Aaron. Once again, I got to give Skipper the Hey Aaron. Skipper won the Hey Aaron contest tonight. And you know I'm messing with you. It is funny though, right? One of my buddies who's in SEC media is going through it right now, and he's like tweeting about it. He's like going through like a dating life. There was a bad breakup, and he's talking about, he was like getting advice from people. How should he approach a date with someone new? And it's crazy, huh? It's crazy how much punctuation matters. Punctuation is like so underrated. They don't teach a good enough job of it in school, right? How many of you had those crazy high school friends that they get involved in like Facebook Ponzi schemes. You know who I'm talking about, right? And you go on their social media, and everything that they post is just one big old block of text with no punctuation, all caps, misspelled words, all kinds of stuff. Jared says, I'm coming for Skipper's title for the Aaron exclamation point. Now, as far as Sage Ryan is concerned, I do think he is a very interesting prospect in that rarely do you see a safety nickel type of hybrid. Normally it's like a corner nickel type of hybrid, but obviously Sage is a very special athlete. Probably one of the faster guys on the team. Obviously, when he played, what was very interesting in the Florida game was the speed of the game did not phase him. So this was a guy who played at LCA, really good program, but not the absolute like highest level of competition. And then Sage Ryan gets to the college level. He can barely practice. He was very injured. He wasn't an early enrollee. And they're just like, look, we're going to throw you into this Florida game, and you're going to have to play super fast against one of the best play callers in the country. And yeah, our program's falling apart. Please go play this really difficult position. And he played really well. And the next week of versus Ole Miss, it put him in a really bad spot. Then there was a bye week, and then we didn't see him play again after that. So now we get a fully healthy Sage Ryan, potentially 4 years of his game. And look, here's what I truly believe about Sage, and I do think this is very critical when it comes to his development. What is it that he wants out of his career, right? Does he want to be a traditional safety? Does he want to be a nickel? Because obviously you want players to play where they feel most comfortable. Because there are some guys on this team that they brought over from the transfer portal, and Joe Fuchsia and Greg Brooks, who kind of floated around in the secondary. Brooks was played a lot of nickel, and Joe was more of your traditional safety. Joe actually made an appearance in 2 different parts of our Noah Kane and John Emery film study. And the guy is just a grinder. He just gets after it. And I do think it's going to be really hard to see him not get a starter's job next year, as one of the starting safeties going into next year. And then also someone else that we, talked about at the end of the live stream on Tuesday as well was Jay Ward. How do you view Jay Ward going into next year? And I think that's going to say a lot about how they view Sage Ryan. I would like to see Sage at one of the safety spots. And, that was always his projected position. But if nickel is what's best for him, go right on ahead and put him at nickel. So we'll see. Sage as a safety provides tackling ability that others don't have. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm all about some punctuation because I am still the 2 spaces after the period generation. Honestly, didn't notice I had. Grammar is why my text takes so long. Yeah, Skipper, I got bad grammar too. Media day credentials for SEC Media Days. I don't know if I would want to go to that. I don't know. I had a really bad experience at the last one. I don't want to get into it, but I'll let you say I was furious. But also Media Days is kind of strange because I don't know. It's very canned interviews. Like the best thing you can do at Media Days is interview everyone, and you never know what you're going to get out of it. I'm not going to say Media Days was bad. Every time I went, I took full advantage of it because I was doing radio in a market that wasn't really near any SEC campuses. So I would go there and just sit there and interview everyone I could, whether it be Marcus Spears, who was by far the best interview I've ever done there. I also interviewed Calvin Ridley there. That was a lot of fun. I just interviewed as many players as I possibly could. Christian Lacouture was one of my favorite interviews there. So, yeah, I really loved going and being there and being in that experience. But, I was the bottom of the totem pole. So, it is what it is. Mac, what's good, man? I want to appreciate Max because Mac, excuse me. Every video I do, he comments under the video. I really do appreciate you, Mac, and it goes a long way. It really does. Don't think that I sleep on that. It really, once again, those videos that normally like the 10 to 15-minute videos that we do on here, especially now that I am moving away from doing the super long film studies. I still will do some. It's just, I look at the analytics, and 10 to 15 minutes is where I like to keep it. What's really interesting about it is when you do film studies, there was 3 or 4 plays from the Noah Kane, John Emery film study that I took out. So, that actually takes more time. What are you going to take out? And I really appreciate you, Mac. Every video I do, he comments under it. It goes a long way. There's Danny with the hubby. First time we see the hubby. Oh, man, Danny, you are shooting down the dreams of so many thirsty men when you post the hubby. I've gotten to know a good little bit about Danny's hubby. He actually has a connection to a pretty famous coach in this March Madness. I thought that was really cool. I won't say who. That's good. Mick is going through it right now. Jared says he's like Andrew Luck. He's never going to upgrade phones. That's his thing. I love it. So let's do our first yes, no question. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Sage Ryan starts next season. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think he's one of the most interesting players going into next year for LSU. Because I thought when he did play, he looked like he belonged, Oh my God, I just look. There's no way. There's no way Kentucky's about to lose. They came back. Someone keep me updated. Please. Please. Blanche, what's good? I kind of bullied Blanche. Banghammer says no. Max says yeah. Rob says no. Brandon says no. Jared says yes. Oh my God. Come on, Kentucky. Do it. I need Calipari hair gel tears. That's what I need. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Do it. Do it, St. Peter's. Sage is a rotation guy. My bracket's already right. Come on. Let's go, St. Peter's. You could give me 10 guesses, and I could not tell you where St. Peter's was. St. Peter's could be in Louisiana. I don't know. No idea. No idea. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. LSU plays tomorrow at 6. Pretty excited to see them Tigers. Let's go. So many brackets being busted. Once again, I had Kentucky losing in the Elite 8, I believe, or in the Sweet 16. Never in the NCAA tournament pick a team whose best player by far is a center. And I know like one of the most dominant NCAA tournament teams of all time was that North Carolina team with Tyler Hansborough, but the real ones know the best player on that team was Ty Lawson. Now, think of the NCAA tournament. Everyone is pretty much essentially won by a point guard who everyone thinks is going to do something in the NBA, but they don't, right? So like Mateen Cleaves, Khalid El-Amin, Shabazz Napier. Now, of course, Kemba turned out to be really good, but there's so many of these guards that win the title and they might become a rotation guy, but rarely, do you see a team like Kentucky whose best player is a post guy, because post players, it's just so tough, game after game, to go on a run with the post player because you got to throw the ball down to him and the game's officiated different. It's crazy. Let's go. St. Peter's. St. Peter's. And I know what some of you are thinking. I know in the heart of hearts, some of you are saying, well, look, Carter, you're supposed to cheer for the SEC no matter what. It's good for the conference for teams to go far. So let me ask you guys this, okay? I know this is a little bit of a divergence from what we were talking about, but I'm looking at you right now, okay? Whether or not you're watching this on a little screen or on a TV or whatever, okay? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you cheer for in general, okay? I know we all hate Kentucky basketball here. Do we cheer for SEC teams when LSU's not playing? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you cheer? I want this because, we talk about this in football. There's Mackie Mac. Return of the... Hey, come on. It was there. Good to have you back, man. Let's go, Brandon. Not the actual phrase. I was just saying, let's go. Right? No. I was like, God, I hate that phrase so much. I really do. Not to get political. But look, I can't cheer for the SEC. I can't. Right? The main reason I hate that phrase, though, real talk, is because let's go is my big phrase. And I always say, let's go Esteban. And then I'm like, now that phrase is ruined for people like let's go Lewis. Doesn't roll off the tongue. 85-79. So this is how I feel if I'm Danny, right? Oh, guys, stop the presses. Stop it. He has been absent for months. He's been absent. Bring it. The Master Blaster is here. I gotta send this photo to Master Blaster's #1 fan, Jeremy Hill. Every time J Hill's in the chat, he's not been here in a while. Every time J Hill's in the chat, he just has to know, where's Tony? Part of the reason why J Hill's not been in the chat, because every time he's in the chat, I am going to talk about his Los Angeles Lakers. And Van, who's living in, 81-79. Okay, 85-79. Boom! Let's go. Wildcats. Let's go. Kentucky is out. Let's go. The Master Blaster. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you, man. It Kurt. Kentucky just lost. Let's go.
Just thought I'd let you know, Billy.
Is somebody being a Billy? Okay. Come on. Before we get to our next topic, we gotta get to these topics. There she is. She's back. I don't want all this tricky. Oh, this tricky right now. Look at her. She looks so much better in the HD cam. Look at her LSU. Look at that. We're looking HD like the H3 podcast on here. Do you cheer for other SEC teams? when Arkansas is not playing or LSU's not playing?
Mm-mm.
Not your mama. Your mama would get a roll tide. I hate it when your mom does that. I do. Hate it. I'll be cheering for Auburn. So, Danny, can I say this? Can I say it, Danny? Just let me know. So, Danny sent me a very interesting message about her husband. I want to say it. It was such a cool fact. Hit that like button. It goes a long way. We're just chilling.
You're now good.
So you're good. Z baby.
It's thunder and lightning outside.
You see those eyes. Huh? That's the only reason I got the cameras, because Booger was a little bit easier to see on the FaceTime camera, but Z's eyes are tough to see. So you got to get the HD cam in there. Okay, so Danny's wonderful husband used to work with Bruce Pearl, which is cool as heck. I like Bruce Pearl a lot.
Oh, that's perfect. Y'all can see you're good there.
Like Bruce Pearl is like the best coach in the SEC, and I actually do have Auburn in my Final Four. I do. I think Auburn's one of the best teams, but once again, it's the same thing. Auburn's best player is obviously a post guy. Their two best players are post guys, so that makes me a little anxious, right? But they have guards who aren't afraid to jack it up. I think that's key. St. Peter's. My bracket is officially busted.
Mine's busted. I was doing so good. Look at those guns, hey.
Look at those guns. St. Patty girl. He likes a bow.
Oh, man.
Look at that. So that's cool, Danny, that your hubby used to work with Bruce Pearl. I wonder if it's like weird seeing him like make like what does he make? He makes $8 million a year now. I think something like that.
Pixel? What's that?
I don't know. It's like a phone, I think.
Oh.
I can't mention them unless they sponsor the channel.
Oh,
no, I was just joking. Don't feed that thing after midnight. Z baby?
Oh, her dad and her goes to bed with a phone.
Guys, here's my thing about the SEC stuff, right?
All right,
she's gonna go watch them hogs.
Go watch the hogs. Come on, Zay, let's go watch the hogs.
Watch them hogs. I kind of.
You don't make your stream up, baby?
No, put it on. It's fine. I want Arkansas to win. So I had a friend play for Arkansas basketball, and so I like Arkansas basketball just fine. They're not insufferable like Kentucky basketball. The thing about Kentucky basketball fans, though, is they travel. All right. Arkansas fans travel really well for basketball, but Kentucky fans travel in huge numbers, right? If you live in New Orleans, you know this because they've hosted the SEC tournament a few times. Kentucky basketball fans go in huge numbers. Okay. So they flew wherever the heck they played. Where was the game? I hope it was not the most expensive thing because times are tough. I don't want that on Kentucky fans. But they legit save up for the NCAA tournament and they just go wherever. And that's why, every venue wants Kentucky at their venue. And now, those fans were expecting to stay a full weekend. And think about the Kentucky fans. Okay, this is a brutal thing, right? And by the way, Ed, it is a good question from Ed. I'll say this one final thing about Kentucky fans. The brutal thing about them losing is there's a lot of Kentucky fans that are flying in tomorrow to go to the game on Saturday because they expected to win, right? A lot of these higher seeded teams, if you're a 1, 2, or 3, the worst thing about losing is so many teams or so many fans just automatically pencil you into the next round, and they fly in the day after. So there's a lot of Kentucky fans getting up at 6 a.m, making the flight, and they're probably trying to sell their tickets. Sucks for the venue. They lose a lot of revenue now. But we move on. After spring, will LSU only have 2 quarterbacks on scholarship? Ooh, that's a juicy question right there from Mr. Ed, who, by the way, bought more Booger Bands. So here's what we're going to do. I just got a huge shipment of Booger Bands right here. I want to sell these son of a guns to all you lovely people. But this is something I have to say about the Booger Bands before we get any further into it. I'm going to do a special deal right now because I did get a big shipment of Booger Bands. Normally it's 3 for 25. It is for tonight only. I will do 5 for 25. I'll do 5 Booger Bands for $25, and we'll go one step further. Okay. Every one of those orders will get you an unopened pack of LSU cards right here. Okay. Now, these are vintage LSU cards. And what's really cool is this card that Skipper has in his hand is a Billy Cannon card that I actually pulled from one of these packs right here. So you could pull a Billy Cannon. I pulled a Chris Jackson out of here. And I've even pulled some mascot cards that are actually pretty cool as well. If you're a really old school LSU fan, they have a lot of these Bernie Moore track facility cards in there as well. So 5 for 25. I'll do it tonight. I just got a big shipment in. Once again, I don't care if it cuts into my margin. I'm in a given mood. 5 for 25. We'll do it tonight. So there you go. Venmo, Cash App. We'll get it going. And let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Ed got me fired up. I was like, I might as well just do it. So, Ed, thank you for all your support of the channel, your very generous donation last night, and actually doing a lot of extra goodies for you, man. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you think LSU will only have 2 quarterbacks on scholarship at the end of spring? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Danny says, I hope not. Jared says no. Banghammer says no. Tony says yes, possibly. Everyone, welcome Ed back to the chat. He actually had to get more Booger Bands because he gave them to his grandchildren. So there you go. I love it. I think we'll have 3 at the end of spring. In fact, I honestly think LSU will have all 4 at the end of spring. The quarterbacks, if they have waited this long, they're going to at least wait this thing out. Okay. So the first thing is, look, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Walker Howard's not going anywhere. That's not it's not the be all end all. Okay. He's not going anywhere. Jalen Daniels just got to campus, so he's for sure going to stay. So at the very least, you feel good about LSU keeping 2 of them. I also don't really get Miles Brennan leaving during the spring. Okay. So it's very interesting for me. I do think this is also true. If Miles Brennan transfers first, Garrett Nussmeier is more likely to stay. If Garrett Nussmeier transfers first, it does nothing to Miles Brennan. So that's very key, right? As far as their pecking order, as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. Also, something else that can happen in spring as well. Going into the spring, we all felt pretty comfortable that the order of 1, 2, 3 was probably going to be Miles or Max 1 or 2, TJ 3, Nuss 4. But then at the end of spring, it was kind of clear that Nuss had passed up TJ up to that point. So it's not out of the question that obviously Walker Howard passes up those guys. Now, Do you want that to happen? No, you don't want that to happen because that increases the likelihood that one of the other two is going to transfer. Okay. Jared brings up something very interesting. I think Nuss or Daniels leaves. I just don't see Jalen Daniels leaving. I don't. I think he's going to at least wait it out here. Something else that's very interesting about Jalen Daniels that makes him by far the most fascinating transfer portal quarterback is this is a young man who has started 3 years at the quarterback position. Okay. And he still has 3 years of eligibility remaining if he chooses to use it. Now, Jalen Daniels does have NFL aspirations, and NFL teams are interested in what Jalen Daniels could become. How do we know this? Because when Jalen Daniels was deciding whether or not he was going to go to the NFL, he did the whole NFL like look see to see who would be interested in his services. So, Jane Daniels, obviously, a lot of his coursework is probably already completed. Um, this is a young man who has 3 years of eligibility. So I think for me, he is going to at least stay this year. I have a tough time believing Daniels gets beaten out by Miles and then says sayonara, especially considering he knows Miles Brennan has a propensity to get hurt. So I don't think Daniels is going to leave. Garrett Nussmeier has a very high likelihood of leaving. And this goes back to the bowl game controversy, right? If he played the bowl game, the likelihood of him staying would have been higher, way higher. Okay. And we'll go back to Ed, who initially super chatted this. Miles and Nuss transfers. He thinks both are going to transfer. I think obviously the guy with the highest likelihood of transferring up to this point is Garrett Nussmeier. Now, you'll never see me um, like begging a kid to go into the portal. And this is definitely one of those cases where we don't want Garrett Nussmeier leaving. The more scholarship quarterbacks you have, honestly, the better. Uh, but this is also true as well with Nuss. If he played the bowl game, he would have had 4 years to play 3. But now he has 4 years to play 4. Okay. So why would you burn a year of eligibility being the third guy on the depth chart? It makes less sense, which is why from the get go, I begged Garrett Nussmeier to play, right? To go to the coaches and say, I want to play. When Max was obviously very banged up during the Ole Miss game, after that game, I just think Nuss and whoever else, and once again, full disclosure, there's a lot of people close to Nuss that watch this channel. I know of 2, one of which I communicate with some of the time. I still stand by it. If he would have just played, it would have given him more flexibility for this year as far as who is actually going to be the guy. And it would have given him a lot more leverage to potentially say, look, I'm going to be the guy, right? If Nuss had gone out there and won the game versus Alabama, he's probably the starter going into this year. It would have been hard to even if he would have just not played all that well after that, it would have been really hard to unseat that guy if he would have pulled off, to me, one of the most radical wins of the year. So we'll see. Ooh, KMC. This is a hot take. Nussmeier will challenge for the starting spot more than Miles will. Very interesting. Chris's prediction. What's up, Bruce? Bruce. 2 quarterback rotation. I could see a 2 quarterback rotation. I can. This is also true. You don't need a mobile quarterback for the RPO offense. It's true. Tua ran it last year. He was one of the best RPO quarterbacks in the NFL. And this is going to sound crazy. If this just happens to be your first time watching in a while, our guy CFB Numbers sent me this. Max is one of the best RPO quarterbacks in the country. LSU was 5th in the country last year when it comes to RPO throws. And Max he's got some mobility. He's got like the baseline mobility for you to call someone a dual threat, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'll address this really quickly, okay? I knew this was going to come up eventually. Huh? And Danny's back. Everybody's happy Danny's back. Not once again, I think a lot of guys are like really crushed that Danny's showing the hubby tonight. Deshaun Watson or Jameis Winston? I won't go too deep into it now. We will a little bit later. Jameis Winston, the analytics actually show Jameis Winston to be a better quarterback than one would perceive. He's got pretty good QBR. He's got really good EPA per play. Last year he didn't turn the football over, but he also doesn't have this ridiculous ceiling that Deshaun Watson has. And if everything is firing on all cylinders, Deshaun Watson has top 5 quarterback in the league capability. Jameis Winston just doesn't. We've just seen too much for us to believe that he could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So, in the NFL, you got to aim for ceilings, right? It's a win it all or not kind of league. So I get why the Saints are doing what they're doing. Once again, there is obviously, some morality involved into this as well. Don't want to get too deep into it. But obviously very serious accusations against Deshaun Watson. How do you feel about that? More than likely it'd be better if you keep it to yourself. But it is serious. It is nefarious in nature. And there is going to be blowback if Deshaun actually does end up choosing the Saints. I will say, though, there is an added bonus to having Deshaun Watson. And you can also make this case as well for Jameis Winston, is that you don't need the absolute elitist of the elite quarterbacks to win in the NFC now, right? Aaron Rodgers probably has 2 years left. Tom Brady, 2 or 3. Who knows at this point? But you got Kyler. Can you really trust Kyler Murray? You got Dak Prescott in the conference. You feel pretty good, right? And I am very interested to see a Green Bay Packers offense next year without Devontae Adams. So look, it is what it is with everything that's going on with that. I do think Deshaun will choose the Falcons. I do. Once again, if you're a Saints fan, you always know this. You always feel in your heart of hearts, free agents just don't pick the Saints. They just don't. Obviously, Cameron Jordan has done a lot of begging to get big time free agents. He put the press on even Russell Wilson. So yeah, Watson has a better shot at winning a title with the Saints, obviously, but there's just so much to like about the Falcon situation as far as his agent repping a lot of the players there, him being from Georgia. I just think that's what he ends up doing because I also think that's the path of least resistance as well. So I just don't think JD is the truth. Okay, so obviously we've done a lot of breakdowns, and Bang, you've seen them. with Jalen Daniels, right? Look, there's a lot to like about Jalen Daniels, and there's a lot to dislike. We've already talked about the 10 interceptions. We did a full 15-minute film study on it. The most interesting thing, right? And if I do get the opportunity to interview Jalen Daniels, who I do think is really good, um, do I think he's special? I don't even think he would consider himself special yet. But I have to say the infrastructure surrounding Arizona State football was not the best. And you could be the absolute best quarterback in the world. If you don't have good structure, it actually matters. This is not the NBA where one player can just take over everything. I understand the quarterback has the biggest influence more so than any other position in sports, but you got to have play callers, you got to have infrastructure, you got to have guys that can go get you a jump ball, you got to have guys that can beat press man. I just think everything just fell apart for Arizona State last year after that Utah game, and I know I keep making that excuse for them, but up to that point, he had been one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football when it comes to touchdown to interception ratio. As many of you know, I'm not the biggest fan of that stat, but we did a full video on this. The interceptions were his fault towards the end of the year, but I just think the entire team just kind of lost it. I think their coaches started to lose it. Also, something else that's very interesting about a sinking ship in college football is I notice NFL coaches that get fired, even assistant coaches tend to find a way to get another job. College coaches, it's not quite the same. When a sinking ship happens, and after that Utah game, Arizona State was clearly a sinking ship. Okay. Off the field issues, everyone on that team, everyone in that program knew that was the NCAA was getting ready to drop the hammer. And on top of that, the coach itself, the hiring of Herm Edwards was also a flawed process, right? An athletic director who knew Herm Edwards really well hired a buddy. And I understand Arizona State went through a full search, and Herm Edwards is obviously a very sharp football mind, but this was a guy who was in the NFL for forever. And then he gets to the college game he had called some college games. In fact, I'd met Herm Edwards in Tiger Stadium before, calling a game for ESPN, but it's different coaching in the college game and then the NFL game. And you would see a lot of the sloppiness surrounding Arizona State. So it's different, if you're a player in the locker room, if you're a coach in the locker room, well, you don't know what your future is going to be. So I really do think the team went into free fall after that game. So I understand it sounds like excuses for Jalen Daniels, but I think in this case, it holds up. I think it does. We showed you these EPA per play charts here, and I just want you to look at this this graph. And Jared made a really funny joke about this during the last live stream. Okay, you look, Jalen Daniels. That's it to the left center. Okay. Jalen Daniels was 5th in the SEC and EPA per play, but you see, to start the year, he was 1st. He was better than Cameron Rising. He was as good as Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And you saw, just that regression begin to set in. And it's unlike a quarterback to regress that badly. So we'll see. And there's something interesting about his QBR. His QBR up to that point was in the 60s when that game happened. Take out the non-Power 5 team that they played where QBR can get very flaky. His QBR was in the 70s, which is actually really good. So, and I felt his BYU QBR was very unfair to him because he had a tipped interception mixed in there, and then he had an interception on a 3rd and 15 or something trying to make a play. It ended up being an arm punt. So, for me, I know I'm coming off as a Jalen Daniel sympathizer. I'm not telling you that I think he is going to be the next Joe Burrow. I'm not telling you that I think he's even going to be the next Jamarcus Russell. I don't think he's at that level where you're going to look at him and say that guy could go number 1 in next year's NFL draft, right? I don't feel that way, right? And you guys know I'm not just going to tell you someone's good just for the sake of it. Sometimes our player evaluations can be a little harsh, right? The interceptions, for the most part, were his fault. A lot of them happened on the first drive of the game. The one versus Oregon State was bad. The one versus Wisconsin in the bowl game was so bad. It was very amateur hour. But then again, it was unlike him. It really was. And it wasn't a case where there was interceptions from start to finish. There were a few picks early, and then the floodgates opened. By the way, the 2 interceptions he threw versus Washington State, once again, both of them were really bad. They did come after 2 fumbles by the offense. So the whole team was playing bad. So it's crazy. That's something else about Daniels. As far as his ability to read defenses, I think he's okay at it. Something that I think he is really good at is reading a blitz, which is a different talent in and of itself. But this is, the book on him from different quarterback evaluators is intermediate throws, not his thing. The deep ball, he could throw a very catchable deep ball. And he could obviously make some plays with his legs, but intermediate throwing from the pocket, once again, Joe Burrow, Mac Jones, kind of quarterbacks, that's not Jalen Daniels' game. USC game was also really bad, and that was a home game, and we actually still have one of the picks here. And, this is just such a bad throw. Perfect pocket, 2nd and 6, late in the 3rd quarter. We need you to make a very simple crunch time throw, and it's behind him. And you get the end zone camera here. And yeah, this is just not good. It's really not good. So, yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it. Do I think this is him, though? No, I don't. I really don't. I didn't see a lot of these uncharacteristic interceptions early in his career. And I just think, for whatever reason, things just got very sloppy for him. I mean, that's just, that end zone angle is not pretty for him. But look, Tony brings this up as well. I think our offensive coordinator is too much of the old LSU offensive we can't stand. It's also a very key component of this, Mike Denbrock. I disagree with this simply because he's an older guy. Don't think of him as someone that uses older concepts. But you also have to keep this in mind as well, Tony. I'm trying to put this into the best context I could do it. Cincinnati played at a very slow pace. They were outside the top 100 this year in pace of play. So, part of the Denbrock offense was playing the pace that he was given, right? Miles and Max both held onto the ball too long. Jaden also didn't go through progressions. It goes to show you how special guys like Joe Burrow are. It's true. And look, I know because of, copyright reasons, I have to play these clips in slow motion. The game moves so much faster, right? The game moves so much faster than any of us can even comprehend, right? And Carvis, as always, thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate your support, man. And I hope the PhD program is going swell. Everybody show Carvis some love in here. Look, the truth is just Joe was so special. It just obviously, one thing, and I'm doing for those that didn't get this announcement, in early May, we're doing a Joe Burrow project. Haley and I are going to England in early May. So that week, I'm going to have a bunch of Joe Burrow projects I've been working on. Here is the start of it right here, charting a few of my favorite touchdown throws. Something that was very interesting about Joe is how good he was in the red zone, right? When the field was like totally compressed, there were so many plays he would make just extending the pocket and avoiding the rush that it was just crazy, right? And something else that was very interesting about Joe was he wasn't like he's really good at throwing the football into tight windows, but his mastery of the college game didn't require him to do that. Like they did such a good job of throwing the football accurately to the athletes we had in man coverage. And Terrace made so many amazing 50-50 catches, and Justin and Jamar, I mean, come on. Those guys were the best at it. Also, going back and watching 2019, I know it's easier to say this now, but Terrace was a lot better. When I went back and rewatched, I was like, you know what? A lot of these touchdown catches, he was wide open. Like nobody was around him. But there was also a lot of catches that he made. Obviously the Clemson catch is what he's forever going to be known for, no matter what he does in the NFL. But the Auburn catch for a touchdown was very difficult as well. That guy just made plays. There's just so many people that just made so many plays for us. And, progressions are tough. The game moves so fast. Something else to add to Carvis's point is part of the reason why the game moves so fast is that you can't practice at game speed. It's different when you actually get hit, right? It's different when a helmet is being crushed into the center of your sternum. It is a completely different ball game. Let me see. Okay, I'll play it. Okay. It's for
Master Blaster.
From the first ever guest of PHL, Master Blaster. I'll play it again. Jay Hill showing some love.
Master Blaster.
How is he better at it than me? How is he better at doing this than me? I came up with this. How did that happen? That's the thing. I don't like that like elite athletes are good at everything. How did Jay Hill do that so much better than me? Like, it's funny because for instance, like my mom watches Dancing with the Stars. And it's unfair when there's the elite athletes that are able to dance, right? It's like BS. Elite athletes shouldn't be able to be good at everything, right? Like Mark Norman has a really good joke about competitive eaters. Like, how are competitive eaters like the best are like just normal looking guys and some of them are like ripped? Like Kobayashi was like ripped. Doesn't make any sense, right? Like elite athletes, like Blake Griffin's good at stand-up comedy. I'm like, no, no, it shouldn't be allowed. I love it. You know, it's funny, Skipper. I talked to Blake for an hour. It's funny. So like he'll call me in the middle of the day, or I'll call him. We'll talk for an hour about player evaluation stuff we're hearing and all that stuff. It's always good. I wish I could play some of the conversations that we have during the day. So yeah, me and Blake might be doing some more stuff together soon. Be on the lookout for that. That's not what the Tuesday announcement's going to be. So if you're just joining us, we got a big announcement coming on Tuesday for the channel. It's pretty cool stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. Do I agree with this or do I not? I do. I actually do agree with this. So yeah, as far as the Cincinnati game, right? What happened versus Alabama? So, Chris, you've already seen the film study. So we did a Denbrock film study versus Alabama. I agree with this, but there is a major caveat to this. There is a major asterisk to this right here, Chris. And it makes Tyler Steen that much bigger of a get for LSU if they're able to get him. So, you go back and rewatch. I go back and you go back and rewatch that game. We just could not block them. We couldn't block Alabama, and Max missed a lot of throws in that game. Right? We obviously do film studies of every game. But I will say this, and I like Cam Wire a lot. He had a rough game in that Alabama game. Alabama's got Will Anderson, and they also got an end by the name of Dallas Turner, who is very, very good as well. If we can't block those two guys, we're not going to beat them. They're not going to come close, really. If we can't find tackles that can block guys that are going to be top 10 picks. So we'll see. Let's go. Let's go. Just joined in. Don't know what the topic is, but what I do know is Carter is the... That was a bad goat. Why would I even... Is that a good goat? Is that a good goat? Hashtag hold fast. Hashtag let's go. I'm still kind of shook about the Master Blaster thing. Maybe we need to do a Master Blaster contest. And Jay Hill even included the Master Blaster. Nola Grizz. I am not the GOAT. I'm going to tell you who the GOAT is. Skipper, because he's holding a photo of the GOAT. Billy Cannon. It's kind of funny, right? We just did a live stream in front of the Billy Cannon statue. I love it. But thank you, Nola Grizz, as always, for supporting the channel. And even more important, men need to be more high fashion. Haley gets on me all the time. So I kind of want to bring her in to tell this story. So I'm getting to meet Skipper next weekend. So I am chunky, okay? I used to not be. I used to weigh a good, relatively trim 190 when I was in high school. Okay, played four sports growing up, but I wasn't the fastest. I definitely couldn't jump. I was just an unathletic, big-hipped 5'7" dude. Now, as I've gotten older, I still run quite a bit, but I'm just chunky. I just live by that. So I did not know that seersucker suits run tight. And I got to wear a seersucker suit this next weekend. And I was like, okay, give me my normal pant size. And I tried on the pants, and I legit could barely get the button on. Like, if I were to wear these pants during the wedding, the button would eventually snap and knock the eye out of the bride. And that wouldn't be good for anybody. That's how tight those things were. So I need to get like Nola Grizz and step my fashion game up because I'm used to just wearing like comfortable clothes. Like, obviously I wear my national championship shirts all the time on here. Uh, I need to get to wearing like more satchels and more like interesting stuff like this because then I would know like what tighter fitting clothes feel like. Like I don't wear dress pants that often. I just don't. All right. So I learned a valuable lesson. I need to dress nicer. I do. And Nola Grizz with the satchel, aka fanny pack, inspired me. Find a good tailor. So they mailed me the suit, and I got to go find a tailor. Arkansas's in a dogfight. I actually picked Vermont to win this game. What is the score? I'm curious. I know Haley's kind of quiet over there, so I know she's nervous. 29-27. Dude, the Catamounts can play. Let's go Catamounts. Arkansas going down too. I actually like Arkansas basketball. I do. Have such great history. Nolan Richardson, for our older crew, you knew how big it was when, you beat Coach K and all those guys. He was a big deal. So the history of Arkansas basketball is really cool, especially if you know a little bit more about the history of Arkansas. It was a big deal. So, like, I'm a big Nolan guy. So I'm always kind of sympathetic towards Arkansas basketball. I won't cheer if they lose to Vermont, even though I did pick Vermont to go pretty far in my bracket, actually. It's a crossbody bag. I love it, Danny. Chunky is hunky. Gotta have something to hold on to. Boom! See, not everybody out there could be like Haley, like just perfect physique. But like Haley, like eats so healthy. Like it's salmon and salads every night. I ordered 12 wings tonight, guys. You'd be proud of me. I only ate 6 of them because I am wondering what the hell is going to happen to the seersucker suit. So they called, and I tried to get the size up of the seersucker suit, but they didn't have the size up. They had the next size. So instead of a 38, I wanted a 40, but now they ordered me a 44 or 42, either one. So now I'm wondering, guys and gals, do I need to eat more so I could fit in a size 42 instead of a 38? Because I don't love baggy clothes. So I'm guessing now I should just lean into it. I should just eat more so I could fit this wide, hunky body into those trousers, right? Because it can get a little snug for us big guys and gals. So, look, you get chunky is where it's at. My mom would call me Big Chunky. Go Big Chunky. And I played soccer, played some travel soccer, but I started in soccer, and I played center midfield. So I would have all these fast, skinny dudes running around me. And then just in the middle of the field, like I wasn't like I wasn't like a sumo wrestler in the middle of the field, but I was like chunky, right? And everybody would pick on me about it. I was also the only kid in my basketball team that couldn't touch the net because your boys got no vertical leap. Let's go. Let's go. Mike Jones Jr. What's up, Jason? Let's go. But Carvis, you're ripped. So you actually go to the gym every day. I could see Carvis going to the gym. He has one of those plastic bottles with the whisk ball in there. Like that little whisk thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. That little metal like whisk ball. What are those things called? I could see Carvis with that. He's got that. And right before he bench presses 415 5 times, he's shaking that thing up. And you probably also have those workout shirts that are cut down to the wrist so you can show off your rib cage. I could see it. Oh, Skipper might have a seersucker suit that fits me. I can go get it. I can go get it right here. It's like a like light blue. Jason, what's going on, man? Look at this. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I mother effing knew it. Just left the gym. Protein and oatmeal, man. Probably shake that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You shake that thing up, baby. Got to get those cows in, baby. Got to get that protein, that whey. Got it, that whey, that WHEY, baby. Got to get it. You got to get it, baby. Oh, Skipper, you work. I like this. Oh, the boss. I know. Okay, the boss. I like it. I think the most realistic outcome is JD. Well, Skipper, it also matters like how tall you are. Pegasus, what's good? I think the most realistic outcome is JD starts Walker in his backup. Miles goes to Southern Miss. Nuss goes to a Texas school, and we just accept rolling with 2 quarterbacks next year. Dang, Pegasus. I think I can easily visualize this exact scenario happening. I just think so many of you really believe Miles is going to be the quarterback at Southern Miss next year. Carter said it's muscle milk while Carter sips the Zima. So it's funny. So Haley's on this high noon sip thing. These drinks, which by the way are expensive as you know what. I did the math. Each high noon is $2.50. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it add up, right? No problem. Drink what you want to drink, right? But because of my seersuckered suit situation, I'm only drinking water. And I don't know if I'm going to get these size 42 or 44 pants in. I kind of feel like I need to live stream this, right? Because I know all of you are invested. You got your whole family around. You got me up on the big screen. You got Kentucky losing in the background. They've already lost, but you get what I'm saying. And you're like, I don't care about what this guy has to say about Jalen Daniels. I'm worried about this suit situation. Oh, brother, where art thou? What movie was that? Was that the movie with wasn't George Clooney in this movie? But yeah, 2 quarterbacks. You don't want just 2 quarterbacks. In a perfect world, you want 3. It's just so hard now, Carvis, as you know, with the transfer portal to keep, just everybody. And, once again, I just think if you're in a situation where you have 4 years to play for, if you're Garrett Nussmeier, I don't want to burn a year of my eligibility being the number 3 guy. That's just not going to happen. So, it's just how it is. I'm on the big screen tonight with Bang Hammers. I like it. I look like Colonel Sanders in my suit. I could actually see it with Skipper's face. I could see a Colonel Sanders. I love it. Oh, we got some thunder. Let's do this. I'm trying to figure out. I'm guessing the best quarterback situation for me. I don't know. I don't think I would be totally opposed to a Jalen Daniels Walker Howard room. Johnny 5. Hey Johnny. Hey Gail. How we doing tonight? They don't give you those NIL checks to ride the bench. Ask Quinn Ewers. Sometimes they do though, right? Johnny, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. So, Johnny, you get to pick the next topic. Thank you so much. Obviously, Venmo, always the best. Freaking love it, baby. Thank you so much. Birchman, I don't think you have to worry about it. It's good to see you. Ed says, we're going back in the portal and getting another QB. I would shave my chest if that happens on this camera. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do it with the HD camera. I don't think they're going to get another portal quarterback. Johnny Five's got a fan club on here. So Johnny Five, you get to pick the next topic. I know you're just dropping in. Good to see you. Shout out to Gail. Both Johnny and Gail both have shirts. By the way, if you want a PHL shirt, all you have to do is follow the instructions at the bottom of the screen. See my finger right there? I could see a Miles JD 2QB system. I can. Partially also to keep both of those guys around. I also don't think Brian Kelly's going. It doesn't make any sense for him to name a starter until the week of the game. I think that's part of it as well. What you want is obviously you want Miles to play. One thing you don't want to happen is you don't want Jalen Daniels to play so unbelievable.
Sunlink or AT&T?
For Sunlink.
Okay.
You don't want Miles to play like so unbelievable where holy crap, Skipper. That is crazy. I'll put this photo up. Let me see. Can I put this up? Let me see. This is a bold outfit, Skipper. It's really bold. Let me see. Will Miles get an NFL look? I think he's going to need more film, Carvis. Would I like it? Yeah, I'd love to see Miles get. I cheer for every LSU quarterback opportunity. Okay, yeah, we'll do this. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Let's see. Do you look like Colonel Sanders here? I don't think you could say you look like Colonel Sanders here, Skipper, if you got flip-flops. I don't think Colonel Sanders flip-flopped all that much. But I will say overall, the outfit is mighty dapper. The hat, this looks like Skipper's getting ready to sell a Velociraptor at Jurassic Park. That's what it looks like to me. So shout out to you, Skipper. Let's see here. By the way, don't forget, get a PHL shirt. Shout out to Roger. He's not in here right now. So there you go. Johnny says, I want some KFC now. I'm always going to, I don't know. I like KFC, but Popeyes, man. I just grew up on Popeyes. There we go. So, what would Jalen Daniels win-loss total be? I think the hard thing about doing, and obviously, throughout this offseason, we'll do different win-loss totals throughout the year. Okay. Florida State, I think LSU will beat Florida State. I just don't think they're where they need to be right now as a program. So we're kind of getting them in a good spot. So I think we win that game. And obviously, we've lost both of our last season openers, and you've seen what that's done to us. Southern's a win. Mississippi State in Tiger Stadium. I think that's a win. But once again, that's probably more of those 60-40 proposition games where LSU will probably be 4 or 5 point favorite, depending on how the first two games go. So I do think that's a win. So you're looking at 3-0, 4-0 after New Mexico State. 5-0, I think you get the worst team in the West at Auburn next year. So you're looking at 5-0 right there. I have a tough time believing 4-1 is not out of the equation. So I'm going to go 5-0 right there. So now you get Tennessee. Obviously in Tiger Stadium, obviously, you kind of get Tennessee in a bad spot here. We talk about this all the time with the SEC schedule being the way that it is now, Johnny. You play every non-Florida East team once every 6 years. So you just happen to get Tennessee team, which is by far their best team in quite some time. They have arguably the best quarterback in the East coming back with Hendon Hooker, and he is a really good player. So once again, going on the road at Auburn, which won't be a cakewalk. I think we do win that game. And then playing a dual threat quarterback the very next week, it's going to be really tough. But I am going to go LSU winning versus Tennessee. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Week 7, week 8. So you look at the last couple of years, LSU has struggled in this spot. Once again, attrition begins to set in. We're not the deepest team going into next year. So 7-8 is always a tough win to win both of those games. Look, the greatest team of LSU of all time, that wasn't worded well at all, but the greatest LSU team of all time struggled in that week 8 spot as well versus Auburn. That was by far our worst offensive performance on the season. So look, that week 8 can be tough. It's tough to be your absolute tightest, your absolute sharpest in that spot. So to think 8-0 is tough. So I have a tough time believing LSU gets through these first 8 weeks without losing at least one game, but the schedule does shape up to be pretty favorable. So then you look at the rest of the 4 games here. Alabama at Arkansas, UAB at Texas A&M. Obviously, the goal here is to win all 4. And the goal is to win every game, but the likelihood that you win all 4 of these, as many of you know, is really, really small. I think it is a major success, especially if you go 7-1 to start the first 8 weeks. I think it is a major success to go 2-2 at the end here. Knowing what Texas A&M returns talent-wise, still don't like what they have at quarterback, but Arkansas returns a really good quarterback, a really good team next year, and then Alabama's Alabama. So if you can go 2-2 in those final 2 weeks, and then that gets you at 9-3 in a bowl game to go for a 10-win season, you're looking pretty good right there. So as of right now, will you go? Well, I just say, 10-3. That's what we're going to be next year. No, I mean, come on. Even if you don't believe Florida's going to be good next year, Billy Napier's a good coach. There's a reason why they went and got him. They're going to be very physical, and they're going to be very tough to beat next year. They've also done really well in the portal. So a lot of those games are 50-50 games. So any fluctuation of 7-5 to 9-3 is a very real possibility with that schedule next year. So we'll see. So that was my prediction with either Jalen Daniels or Miles Brennan, right? You do tend to think, though, and this is honestly just LSU historically, right? Dual threat quarterbacks change things, right? They really do. Now, we've won a lot of games without dual threat quarterbacks, but a lot of the biggest of big wins, the deciding factor oftentimes was the mobility of our quarterback for the better, obviously. You know, obviously a really big example of this is if you want to go an extreme example of this, where the only reason we had any offensive success versus Alabama in 2011 was, Jordan Jefferson making some plays with his legs. We didn't really do much offensively in that game, right? And, you go back and put 2019 under a microscope. In our biggest games, the difference was Joe Burrow's quick feet and just speed. He was a phenomenal runner. So, it's crazy, right? How much a dual threat quarterback could change things for you. I love a Matt Castle reference. There's not many, right? And it's kind of crazy how that works, right? There's not many high school backups. Obviously the Kyle Trask story is crazy, but yeah, you got to put film out there. I don't know what the Deion Smith situation. I see he's in the chat now. I don't know what that situation is right now. I just don't. We have exactly 69 viewers. Nice. Very nice. So, we are at the near 2-hour mark of tonight's live stream. There's some really nasty weather going on outside. So I want to make sure my dog and my hey are okay. They're fine. That's not why I want to stop. But the weather is getting pretty gnarly. So I don't know if my connection will cut out or whatever. So we are approaching 2 hours here. And here's what we'll do. This actually got a little wild during our Tuesday night live stream. We'll keep this bad boy going. We will. If we get a super chat. But in the next 5 minutes, I will answer as many LSU questions as I possibly can. I will also, as we always do towards the end of the live stream, I'll answer anything. Now, obviously, I don't talk politics on here. I just don't. But anything non-political, I'll happily discuss. Whether it be an NFL question, you want to chat NBA, you want to chat stand-up comedy, you want to chat music, go right on ahead. I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. But once again, like we did, I did this around the same time, and we went until we went for a full other hour because you guys kept super chatting. Coy Moore's gone. He is he's gone. He's not going to come back. I don't know why he would come back when he knows he could be a really good receiver somewhere else. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to sit number 7 or number 8 on a wide receiver depth chart, especially considering there's so many wide receivers that come out of so many different places now. Yes, a lot of the best wide receivers in the NFL are coming from the big schools now, right? Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, I get it. But there's also a lot of receivers that make the league that don't. We just saw the absolute best wide receiver season of all time from someone that went to Eastern Washington. So go somewhere where you can play. And that would be, my message for Coy Moore, because, you're not going to play with the guys that are in front of you. And he can go somewhere and catch 40, 50 balls. Carter, you answered my wide receiver tight end version of this, but would you take a top 5 safety or a top 10 corner? Obviously, it depends on the safety. Free safety, strong safety. I would take a top 5 free safety over a top 10 corner, right? I think over the next couple of years, what's going to happen with NFL in college defenses, and this is discussed on Twitter, I think more teams are going to be a little bit more analytically savvy. And what that means is they're going to look at the analytics and say, look, the best way for us to win on defense, especially with all the rules being against us now, is to keep everything in front of us. Make sure we don't get beat deep. Make them drive down the field and not give up explosive plays, especially considering how good wide receivers are every freaking year now. I don't think we'll ever see an NFL draft without there being at least 10 wide receivers that have strong cases to be top 2-round draft picks, right? There's a lot of people that think Sky Moore is the best wide receiver in this draft, and he went to Wyoming or wherever he went. So what that's going to mean is your safeties are going to be so freaking important. Now, once again, a top 5 safety. So that would be, who's the best safety in the NFL now? I don't know. It's kind of tough. The best corner in the NFL, kind of tough as well, right? I don't think you could say Ramsey knowing how bad his playoffs were. But yeah, I would take a top 5 safety. I would. Strictly arm talent, Miles Brennan or Jalen Daniels. Jaden's got a really good arm, but Miles. Good question here. Okay. What are your thoughts on the DJ Chark and Gage now that they are on new teams? Okay. Very important when it comes to free agency. Understand this. Your situation doesn't matter. Go get the most money you possibly can. There is a hard limit on how long you could play in the NFL. So DJ Chark, even though the Lions is a horrible fit for his skill set with Jared Goff, who is a not great deep ball thrower, DJ Chark, as many of you know, is a deep wide receiver. So absolutely horrible fit. You go from one franchise like the Jaguars now to the Lions. Really? So you would have liked him to go somewhere else. But when you were injured for a full season, you're never guaranteed that someone's going to hand you a $10 million contract, which is what he was given. He's also only 25 years of age. He's one of the youngest signees in the history of modern LSU football. So he's very young, despite only, despite already have played for, despite already have been whatever, despite already having 4 years of NFL experience. So don't like the fit for Chark, and I'm a big Chark fan. It is what it is. I'm glad he got his money. I saw him on Instagram. It was in a Bentley. I don't know how long he's had that thing, but it's a lot more comfortable riding around that thing with an extra 10 million in the back, baby. Let's go. So I'm happy DJ got paid. And something else I really like about this, Johnny, and you know me pretty well, I'm a big believer in 3-star recruits, and these are 2 3-star recruits that both enrolled around the same time. Russell Gage, obviously a better situation, right? Tom Brady went out and got him. Don't think that Tampa Bay is getting Tom Brady's input on which receivers he wants. Also, rumors are out there. Tom is after Julio Jones. Bottom line is Russell Gage is getting paid and getting an opportunity to go win a ring, especially after being with the Falcons these last couple of seasons and being put in a really bad spot. Look, Calvin Ridley was the number 1 guy. He draws a lot of coverage. He leaves. So, as usual, LSU is having to pick up the slack from Alabama. It's just a normal thing. Kidding, Bama fans. But still, and I hate what happened to Calvin Ridley. I've actually met Calvin Ridley. I've never met Russell Gage. But really happy for Russell Gage. And look, this is a guy, I don't think any one of us thought he would have the NFL career that he's had, but he's had it. And he's not only been good, he's also been fantasy relevant as well. So a lot of people know the name of Russell Gage. Last year, he won a lot of playoff games for fantasy football teams last year. So, I'm a big believer in Russell Gage and the positive mentality he had, going to Redemptorist, playing quarterback his entire career, going to LSU as an athlete. His quarterback tape was pretty impressive. In fact, I'm a little perturbed that LSU never even tried him at quarterback, considering when he's thrown passes in the NFL, they have been absolute beauties. To each your own. But yeah, obviously, really good situation here with Russell Gage going to the Buccaneers. And thanks for the question. Diggs was the best pick six corner, but don't tell a coach. Coaches don't like Trevon Diggs, like actual, like high school coaches, because he does get burned a lot because he's trying to get those pick sixes. Let's go to Pegasus here. Criminal stuff aside, what's the line with fans with player movement? Deshaun signed a max and then demands a trade 4 months later. Can Jets ask out because he doesn't like what Kurt? What's the line? Yeah, so Deshaun's situation's different. I don't think player movement. There's so many. I don't think he's the best example here. Simply because the reason he would still be Houston's quarterback. And I know he was trying before all this stuff happened to get out of there, but still, I get what you're saying as far as that is concerned. Can Jets ask out because he doesn't like Kirk? What's the line? So I don't think Jets, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Pegasus, is Jets still on his rookie deal? Let me see. He signed a 4-year, $13 million contract. Of his spell track. Yeah, he's still on the rookie deal. So once again, when he becomes a free agent, he can go wherever he wants. So I don't think he's the best example of that either. But your overall point, what LeGarrette Blount did, what whoever else, can players force themselves out? I'm fine with it if you have to pay a penalty to get out of there. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Obviously, different circumstances for different people. Yeah, Skipper, I'll shoot you an email. We'll figure something out as far as our hanging out. Odell's still unsigned in his last squad, paid big for Allen Robinson. Saints have showed interest. Yeah, so Pegasus, as far as like player movement and all that stuff is concerned, it obviously has its pros and its cons. In football, I'm a little more apologetic to it because your career is such a fleeting situation. And especially if you're a wide receiver, Allen Robinson, this is the first time in his career he is going to play with a quarterback with positive EPA, right? And that's pretty unprecedented. And this guy's only balled out every year except last year. So, yeah, I just, if you're a wide receiver and you don't want to play with Kirk Cousins anymore, go for it, especially if you want to go join Burrow. Tony's going to Shreveport tomorrow. So there you go. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I'd be far behind you. I thought we were going to get a last night rain of super chats. Late night rain of super chats. I was getting excited. But it looks like I will follow suit with Tony. So, more than likely, no video tomorrow. We will do our normal live stream on Saturday night. So be on the lookout for that. Don't forget, Tuesday night, big announcement. Pretty excited about it. You guys are going to be excited about it as well. It's huge for the channel, I'll tell you that. And yeah, really excited about that. So Tuesday night, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss out on that. But Saturday, we'll do our normal live stream, and we'll see you then. Don't forget, all right? I did a horrible job promoting this today. But if you just happen to be watching, you haven't seen this yet, please, if you can, check out our Noah Kane versus John Emery film study. So if you want more PHL, you can watch it right there. It is. Oh, yeah, we always do this. Shout out to our top super chatters tonight, Johnny 5 and Van, right off the jump. Super nice super chats there at the beginning. And our normal super chatters, you know who you are. Carvis, Jared, all the superstars out there. I really do appreciate you guys. Power our LSU. Boom. Kentucky basketball loss. Just remember that when you go to bed tonight. Let's go. Let's go.